Alright guys, welcome back to the market view videos. Um, we're stopping the live and we are continuing with the market view videos. We're basically resuming it since we've been doing it since last year. So I'll post 2 or 3 videos, or whenever something interesting happens in the market. I'll try to post 2 or 3 videos a week. Make sure that you like and share. It helps the channel to grow a lot. And let's get started with the video. All right. So in a broader sense, if you look at what's happening with Nifty, I'll mark the previous low. All right. So if you see, we made a high around 18th October, if I remember the date correctly, 19th October, right? So we made a high here, and then we have been nicely downtrending. You see, there was this low right here. There was a swing point, and then it created a fresh supply, made a new low. Now, when it makes a fresh supply like this supply becomes our reference point, and then we weren't able to cross through it, even though there was a very nice base right here, right? We tested the base multiple times. Sorry, and then we started to drop again, right? And then the downtrend resumed until we got this rally right here, right? So I've been discussing this since a long time. Whenever you see that the market is falling like this, all right, or any stock is falling like this, and then you get a straight out rally like this into the previous high, never try to take the breakout of this high, all right? Because if you see what's happening here, these supplies haven't been absorbed. I mean, even if you say that this supply has been absorbed, there's a lot of space below here, all right? So markets, after a big up move like this, market cannot keep running up even after a little consolidation all the time, all right? So the proper way to trade this is we need to wait for this area to get filled right here, and then we need to wait for another base to build up for to fuel up the next up move, right? So whenever this kind of a situation happens, this is a time to exit stocks, not to buy more stocks around the high, all right? So that out of the way, let's talk about what's going on currently in the market. So if you see, this low was made, we went below this low and we almost tested out this base, all right? I think we tested out this base right here. And by the way, this is the India 50 chart. This is not your Nifty 50 chart. This is your CFD. So basically, it's similar to SGX Nifty, but the data is live and it has more trading hours. So we tested out this high, which is the high of this previous base, and we had a very sharp reaction. All right. So when this kind of a reaction happens, again, this kind of a reaction is again this move on the lower time frame. If you're able to visualize, I'll go to the lower time frame as well. You will see some kind of structure like this developed in these two candles. So let's go to the hourly time frame, and you will see this move has been a straight out rally on the upside. And now the point is that we are at this daily base right here, which led to this last low. So you see, after this low, we are holding this low pretty nicely, but then we started to weaken out here, and then we got a big drop. All right. And then immediately after breaking through this low, we recovered all the way back up to the previous base right here. So a point to note here is that you don't want to be buying here, all right? Even if you're looking at some swing setups, you don't want to be buying immediately when the market is recovering like this from the lows, because again, there's a lot of inefficiency in this area right here, right? And we are at some strong daily time frame supply as well. If I remove everything, you'll see that there is this supply right here, this entire base, all right? You see this doji candle right here. So this is a range on the lower time frame, and then we have this entire supply here as well. So we're already getting inside the supply. Let's go to the hourly chart. On the hourly chart, if you see as well, on the hourly chart, there is a supply zone right here, all right? There's a supply zone right here. Again, this little pause candles, there are supply zones, and there is a proper base right here, all right? So all in all, what we're seeing here is that there is not a lot of room for Nifty to go up, even on the shorter term, all right? There's a lot of distribution base here. There's a lot of supply here. Now, depending on whatever the war situation is, even if Nifty starts to break out here, I won't be a buyer. So this is where I stand right now. Even if Nifty starts to break out here, I won't be a buyer. At the minimum, what I look for is I look for this entire area to be tested, all right? And this is a good around 300 250 points away. So I'll wait for a shallow pullback right here, and then I'll definitely wait for at least this base to be tested before I start buying in Nifty. So keeping this in mind, let's go to the intraday charts as well. So now if you're seeing here, we are at this, there is a supply zone right here, if you remember from the early chart, and then there's a little base right here as well, right? Now why are these bases not important for me? Because the price is very near to them and we are very near to the supply. So I want the area where the congestion has been bigger, right? And this is that area from the early chart as well. So in all sense, even if Nifty drops and starts to recover here, I wouldn't be expecting any big move to happen in Nifty. What I'll wait for is I'll wait for some kind of a range to form here, and then a quick dip, and then we'll see if it starts to recover or not. Because after such a big move, market needs to take a breather right here, and then there can be a nice shakeout as well, right? Uh, and then we'll have to judge what happens here. So nothing as such in Nifty now. All the action happens overnight actually in Nifty because of the US indices. So we'll wait for some kind of a range to set up and the global volatility to basically go down. All right. So let's check out the sectoral indices one by one. We'll check through the daily chart as well. Let's check out Nifty Metal. All right. So Nifty Metal, again, we are looking at this bigger base. Nifty Metal is actually one of the strongest indices in the market now, right? So this base right here in Nifty Metal was broken out here, but this supply was untested. This is why I lately I've been advocating not to take breakouts out of these smaller bases which are inside some higher time frame supplies which are untested, because the market volatility is such, they will go down, they'll even stay there for 1 or 2 days and then they'll start falling, right? So right now if you see Nifty Metal, we tested out this entire range low, the range which I had drawn here. We had tested out this range low and we spiked up nicely, and again we are at some daily time frame supply, which should be expected since Nifty is also at the supply. A lot of sectors will be at supplies, right? So this is your supply right here, this little blue candle, if you can see it. Let's go to the lower time frame, right? So you see this is your supply right here, right? So now Nifty Metal is sustaining at this supply, but if you see where is the demand actually coming from, the demand is coming from this zone, all right? So what we can see in Nifty Metal tomorrow is if we get a sharp move from the open, and take my words very seriously, I said sharp move, all right? Any other kind of pullback I won't be trading, because I want a sharp move, because I want there to be an imbalance which can recover very quickly, all right? If the market comes down like this and then sustains at the demand zone, I won't be buying that, because that will indicate some sort of weakness developing. I want a sharp shakeout like structure. Even if it happens till the low here, I'm comfortable, and then I'll look to be a buyer in Nifty Metal. Um, other scenario is that if Nifty gaps up, Nifty Metal can gap up into this supply, so there can be an immediate fall from the gap up, right? So if you see, all sectors will gap up into supply, and if they do not sustain in the morning, we can see an immediate fall to previous bases like we had seen in Nifty. On Nifty Reality as well, if you see, there is it's the same thing. There is this supply right here. It's in a downtrending structure, so I wouldn't really take any intraday longs even, but there is this supply right here, and tomorrow in the gap up, we're likely to test out something here. If we gap up tomorrow, that is, all right. We're likely to test out something here. So Nifty Reality, see, another point in Nifty Reality which you want to notice is that in Nifty Metal, we haven't broken this demand zone, all right? We're barely testing it. But if in Nifty Reality, if you see, we have traded below it as well, and now we are trading around this area. So Nifty Reality is a bit weak than Nifty Metal, and also because on the daily chart as well, if you see, there's a bit of a down movement happening, right, from the highs which was made. So here I wouldn't be a buyer at all, right? So Nifty Reality, nothing in store for me. Let's see if it forms a range, and then if it starts to break down through this, then we can definitely short it, but I wouldn't be a buyer in Nifty Reality. Nifty Pharma, again, not that strong at all. Sorry, this is Nifty PSU Bank, right? Not that strong, not at all. There's a strong supply, untested supply right here. So in case we happen to gap up into this base, which is very unlikely, you should avoid Nifty PSU Bank as well, right? Because this is very far, and this is already a bit of a downtrend after breaking through this high. So that is never a good sign, all right? So Nifty PSU Bank expects some more range to be formed. If we drop down into this low right here, then we can see some sharp reaction. You can trade that for a little scalp of this area, but I would probably look for better options. So nothing in Nifty PSU Bank as well. Nifty Media on the, let's see, Nifty Media. Nifty Media quite similar, very sharply falling. There is a strong supply here. We're testing out this supply. So let's go to the 5 minute and see what's going on, right? So we're testing out this supply right here, and there has been a rejection again. So Nifty Media, what you can do is, if it gaps up, it's probably going to gap up somewhere around here, right? If it breaks through this high, then ignore it completely. If it gaps up here, and see, when it gaps up, this zone will become your demand zone. All right, these 2 3 candles, this will become your base. All right, and suppose it gaps up here, then this zone will become a base. So if it comes down and starts to break through this area, then you can see a sharp move till this low, and maybe even this low. All right, so Nifty Media, do not go long here. There is no strength in the structure as such, but you can definitely look for shorts if the broader market starts to go down tomorrow. Nifty mid cap, all right. We'll look at sectoral indices only. Banknifty, see again, Banknifty is much stronger than its counterparts, PSU Bank, right? So Banknifty again, we'll not go long in Banknifty, right? Why? Because I want this area to be taken out first, all right? And when this area gets taken out, then this entire structure will become a fresh base. So if you see, this demand zone was tested multiple times already, and now we have broken through this. So there is definitely some kind of strong supply here. So what I want here is that I want price to negate all these supplies and make this as a fresh base. Then I'll be a buyer on the downside in Nifty Bank till this supply. All right. If that does not happen, if you start to break down immediately, do not short it, because there is a demand zone which is right here. All right. So there can be a trap like scenario built in early morning as well. So we can see another reaction from here as well. So don't short Nifty Bank straight from the open at any supply. There's a lot of demand build up here. All right, Nifty Pharma, one of the strongest sectors, but now it's at some supply. All right, strongest sectors, by strongest sectors I mean on the last day only. On the daily chart, it's very weak. So there is this strong supply right here, right? So now it is testing out this supply already. I think this low, all right, almost there, right? And the base is somewhere here. So Nifty Pharma, what can happen is we can make a big candle right here, and then we can start to fade out. When that fade off happens, you will get this base right here, this demand zone, and when this demand starts to go, we'll see a straight line drop till this base. So that is a plan of action in Nifty Pharma. I won't go long here at this base, because it would have already fallen a lot from the highs, right? So it can consolidate here again. So this is the view in Nifty Pharma. I want a nice spike up into these supplies, and then when this demand zone, which will be formed freshly, if this starts to go, then we'll take a shot. If it starts breaking out and it doesn't stop breaking out, then you just ignore that one. Nifty Finance, similar to Banknifty, nothing as such, but Nifty Finance again is quite strong actually. Nifty Finance, there are some stocks which are getting stronger. So keep a view on it. And how do I know it? Because this high, if you see, it has taken out this high and it's not breaking through this demand as well. So let's see where this base gets resolved, and then we can see a trend on the upside. On the downside again, I wouldn't short because of this demand zone right here. All right, so we can see some kind of a fake move scenario in Nifty Finance as well. Nifty Energy again a bit weak. Don't do anything in it. All right, there is no clear demand on which is holding. There is strong supply right here. So until this entire base is taken out, I wouldn't be a buyer in Nifty Energy. So you can ignore it for tomorrow. Now Nifty IT. All right, Nifty IT definitely strong. All right, supply is also quite far away, and it's holding the 50 EMA. Not exactly the demand zone, but again, if you see, this demand got broken, this demand is there. All right, this entire morning candle is a demand zone, quite wide but still good, and now we are sustaining around this supply. So Nifty IT, there's a chance that we see a straight line up move in the morning itself. The structure is setting up to be quite bullish in Nifty IT, right? If we do not gap up and we see a spike and then it starts to form some kind of a long entry here, then you can definitely look to be a buyer in Nifty IT. We can see a strong movement in Nifty IT. The base is actually quite nice, which is being built here, right? So Nifty IT, do not go short in the morning itself, or if it breaks out, don't take a long, because of course there is already some overhanging supply, right? So we'll wait for some base to form here, but the bias is definitely on the long side. Nifty Auto again very weak. If you see, it's getting a bit weak, which is unexpected, but let's see what happens, right? This supply is tested once, and again we have made some base here. All right, so again the plan in Nifty Auto is a nice expansion in the morning itself, and then when this demand starts to go, we'll short, right? Because there is nothing below it. Look at this, there is nothing below it. Sorry. So we might see some expansion on the downside in Nifty Auto as well. The last one is Nifty FMCG. I do not really trade this on intraday, but this is setting up quite nicely. If you do trade FMCG stocks, you can have a view on it, right? So FMCG again, if you see this demand zone is holding, and this supply is not holding anymore. All right, this supply is not holding anymore. This is some nice expansion. So this is a very good area to buy FMCG stocks if it sets up. Like again, suppose you get 2 or 3 pin bars here, you can definitely look for a long expansion in the morning. Unless it gaps up, of course, do not buy the gap up. I do not really know what will happen after the gap up. There's a lot of supply here. All right. So that is the overall view on the market for tomorrow, right? And make sure that you like and subscribe, and also comment if you have any doubts. I'll respond to those, and I'll see you guys again soon. All right, most probably tomorrow. Right. So have a good day tomorrow, and we'll review what happened in tomorrow's video. Have a good day.